I'm going to say something that I've given a lot of thought to, a great deal of thought to. This Mueller investigation is one of the greatest abuses of power in modern American history. His appointment was an abuse of power. It violated Department of Justice rules. There was no criminal basis for the investigation. Schumer and the Democrats and the media pushed for it, so they got it. Rod Rosenstein is a coward, a very weak man, and he wanted to cover his own tracks because he recommended the firing of Comey. We know what Comey is. We know what the senior officials at the FBI were, and we know what they did. They were the ones who interfered with the election. They were the ones who were trying to elect Hillary Clinton. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what Mr. Mueller is doing, destroying lives and trying to justify what he's been up to, is really, truly un-American. That's not what our criminal justice system is all about. The efforts by members of Congress to actually pass a statute to protect Mueller from being fired by the President of the United States, Senator Mike Lee is right, and of course I've said it many, many times, is a clear violation of the separation of powers of our Constitution. There's no question about it. There are individuals who hate Trump. There are individuals who want this coup to take place, and so they will back anything and anyone who tries to take out this president. And there's almost nobody standing up to this. This is what the old Soviet Union looked like. When people are dragged in front of prosecutors, they look at your records, they try and catch you in slip-ups, memory losses, and then throw you into the gulag, unless you give them what they want. Some prosecutors will tell you, well, this is the way we normally operate. Well, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. The President of the United States did not collude with Russia, and everybody knows it. The Clinton campaign colluded with Russia, and everybody knows it. And so we're supposed to live this lie day in and day out. And the whole point of this, ladies and gentlemen, is to hugely burden an elected president, who you elected, many of you elected, to try and prevent him from doing what he said he wanted to do. This coup, this effort to undermine a legitimately elected president, there was no reason for Mueller to be appointed in the first place. We didn't need a special counsel to investigate these individuals. And as I've said from day one, the Department of Justice's policy has been for almost half a century that you cannot indict a sitting president. So what's the point of this? Point of this is the Democrat Party, the media, and some Republicans are using a criminal investigation for political purposes to try and impeach a president of the United States. And so this is what I want to say. I've given this a great deal of thought. Somebody has to protect the Constitution here. It's not going to be the media, even though they wrap themselves in the free press. Certainly not going to be the Democrats. They have so many similarities to the old Soviets. It's certainly not going to be most of the Republicans, because they're soft progressives that are scared of their own shadows. If President Trump decides not to run for re-election, he should fire Mueller. He should fire his whole team. He should pardon everybody involved with these Mickey Mouse charges of false statements. And tell the House, go ahead and impeach me, and Senate, go ahead and remove me, because this is simply unacceptable. Simply unacceptable what's happening to our country, what's happening here. You have Republicans who pretend to be constitutionalists, like Jeff Flake, actually going to the floor of the Senate, pushing for a bill that is utterly and completely unconstitutional, where Congress would tell a president of the United States that he cannot fire somebody in the executive branch. Then we're told by the same malcontents and miscreants who triggered this entire fiction, who've dragged this nation through this day in and day out, as the Chinese are on the move, and the Russians are on the move, and the Iranians are on the move. Our enemies are on the move, and they love every bit of this. They're telling us the president better not pardon anybody. The pardon power is in the Constitution, and we don't need Democrats in the media and miscreant Republicans to define it for us. We see it, we read it, we know what it is. Meanwhile, the special counsel is not in the Constitution. Nowhere in the Constitution. And when you have a media and a Democrat Party and some Republicans who argue for more due process rights for terrorists in Guantanamo Bay than for the President of the United States, I've had it up to here. We all know what the hell's going on here. We all know what the hell's going on here. And I'll go even further. Whoever the Democrat is next to be President of the United States, he or she should be treated exactly the same way. Because if they're not, this will never come to an end. A bogus investigation. A bogus media. A bogus Democrat Party. Bogus Republicans. Men and women have fought for this Constitution. From the earliest days, they put their lives on the line. To see these snake oil salesmen, this current crop of politicians, this current crop of so-called journalists, throw it all away, is enough. The president's supposed to just sit there, you see, according to the media and the Democrats and some Republicans. Just sit there. He better not use the pardon power. He better not fire anybody. He better not do this. Who the hell do they think they are? Now, I know damn well that if he takes the steps I suggest, he will be impeached and likely removed. I know it. But if he decides he doesn't want to run for re-election at some point, then he should do it. And we sit here and we watch this phony issue. Did the media care about the IRS scandal? Where's your evidence? Where's your proof? Did Eric Holder appoint a special counsel? No. Did the media care about Fast and Furious? No. Did Eric Holder appoint a special counsel since he was in charge of it? No. Not a damn thing. President of the United States appoints as an acting attorney general a gentleman by the name of Matthew Whitaker. I have no idea who he is, other than his pedigree, other than his resume. He's been a U.S. attorney. There's nothing to suggest in any way that he's untoward. Nothing. But they seek to destroy him. They seek to destroy him. Why? Because they want Rosenstein in charge. Because he's a wet noodle, that's why. Because he rubber stamps Mueller. And the courts, they're no better. They're no better at all. When the Republicans elect a president, they throw in with the opposition. That's quite obvious, Mr. Chief Justice. Quite obvious. Mr. Mueller's appointment, I don't care what the courts say. I can read the Constitution, is unconstitutional. Look at the power this man has. The power to trigger an impeachment of a United States president? Does any U.S. attorney have that power? No. But he's just an inferior employee, just like an assistant U.S. attorney. My ass he is. And look at this investigation. It's embarrassing. The people he's interviewing, what he's threatening them with. This is a rogue prosecutor. This is a star chamber operation. And nobody has the gonads to stand up to this. Nobody. But I will. Everybody being investigated by this man should fight it. Fight him in court. Fight him over every damn document. Fight him over every subpoena. Fight him. To the last damn plug nickel. Then I would strongly recommend the President of the United States pardon every damn one of them. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Let's be honest with each other. We're dealing with this tyranny, and it is tyranny. The media love to say that they're there for freedom of the press. No, they're not. They've destroyed freedom of the press. You and I, we defend the First Amendment. All of it. You and I, we defend the Second Amendment. We defend all the Bill of Rights. They don't. They pick and choose. For up to them, there'd be no Second Amendment. Or Ninth or 10th Amendment, or other parts of the Constitution that they read out of the Constitution. The whole progressive movement is a movement against constitutional government. The whole progressive movement is represented by the likes of Bernie Sanders. And they will do anything for power, and they will do anything to turn this country inside out. They have us at each other's throats on race at each other's throats on sex, at each other's throats, no matter what. They're ripping this country apart. You have a legitimate presidential election. President wins the Electoral College. They tell us the Electoral College is racist, and they want to change it. Until they won the House of Representatives, they said we need to double the size of the House of Representatives. Always tinkering. And it's interesting, not to get us back to our basic values and our original principles, no, to advance their cause. And taking out Trump advances their cause. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter, a conservative, whatever the hell you are. You got to stand for the damn Constitution. Because that's all there is between tyranny and liberty. Freedom of the press. Jim Acosta represents freedom of the press by going into the White House press room and browbeating a woman press secretary. That's freedom of the press? Really? Or clowns on TV like Jake Tapper lying about lies of the President of the United States? Tapper knows he's a leftist. And you and I who elected Trump president, you and I are supposed to sit back and just watch all of this unravel. Adam Schiff, he would have been great in the old Soviet Union. I can see him in the uniform, working his way into court. Oh, he would have been great there. He is a despicable snake. Despicable. All you had to do is look at the border the last few weeks to see what the Democrat Party is up to. Look at the border. They don't even want to defend our border. They don't even want to defend national sovereignty. Suddenly that's a partisan issue. I keep hearing people on TV, even on our favorite cable channel, one of them go on, you and I are angry because more and more brown people and yellow people and red people and black people are coming into the country. Who the hell thinks like this? We just want people to follow the rules. I am tired of having them project their biases and their bigotry onto us. We are a good people. We are a beneficent people. We're all over the world defending people of color. In Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria. The vast majority of people who come here legally are people of color. We don't need lectures by the liberals. And we certainly don't need lectures by Democrats, who have yet to come to grips with their own history of slavery and segregation and Jim Crow. That's not on us, that's on them. But trying to take out a president of the United States is simply disgraceful. They have nothing on Trump. Hillary Clinton lost this election fair and square. She was a lousy candidate. She didn't resonate with part of the Democrat base. Trump did, and they cannot tolerate it. The media were furious because they predicted Trump would get blown out. They despised him. The Democrat Party is trying to claw back the 2016 election. And Mr. Mueller, who's in their back pocket, what does he do, ladies and gentlemen? He hires Democrats and donors to Democrats. He doesn't even try to have an appearance of bipartisanship or objectivity. He's in your face. And why wouldn't he be? He hears members of Congress, including Republicans, say, we need to protect Mueller. Let's protect the rogue prosecutor, while he's stomping all over the United States Constitution. There should never have been a special counsel in this case. And this special counsel is unconstitutional. And the things that he is doing to individuals to destroy their lives should shock everybody. Because let me tell you a little secret. If they can do this to a president, to his family, they can do this to a retired lieutenant general, if they can do this to these people, they can do it to anybody. Anybody. The civil libertarians don't even exist anymore. The ACLU doesn't even exist anymore. The phony conservatives on these various websites and so forth, they are pathetic. The way they write is pathetic. Well, I don't always agree with him, but sometimes I do. But when he does, well, I agree with him. Whatever. I got my issues. But not on this. Not on this. Those other policy issues should be put aside. Language and tweets should be put aside. This is our Constitution, and it's being shredded. It's being shredded, and the Democrats are applauding. Mr. Flake is applauding. The media are applauding. These were the enemies of Trump before he got elected, and they're the enemies of Trump now. We do not have a free press in this country. We have a liberal press in this country. This president hasn't done a single thing to use the power of government to interfere with freedom of the press, unlike past presidents. This president has not unleashed the FBI against reporters the way Barack Obama did, the way Eric Holder did. No special counsel there. No demands by Adam Schiff for hearings there. No demands by Mark Warner for hearings there. No. And who has abused the pardon power? Bill Clinton abused the pardon power. Who else? Barack Obama. He pardoned a terrorist. A Puerto Rican terrorist. I'll be right back. I think we have to learn how to fight the way they fight, ladies and gentlemen. I really do at this point. Or we're going to lose everything. I really do. We got to use their tactics and turn them against them. And I'll start it right here. The next Democrat president needs to be delegitimized. Delegitimized. Needs to be investigated. Phony charges. Assuming there are people in the Justice Department who will do this. And that's the only way the Democrats will understand. We also need to create far more competition against CNN, MSNBC, cable, against network, on the digital side, in any other way we can. Far more cutting-edge media outlets. Let me tell you already. Cable is losing subscribers. Network news, people are dropping off of network news. And so they're becoming more niche. CNN has decided to be niche. MSNBC's decided to be niche. Tell me, ever notice how the Democrat agenda and the media reporting are nearly identical? Ever notice that every time you turn on the TV, there's a debate about the Democrat agenda? There's a report about the Democrat agenda? Global warming or whatever it is? Open borders? Always in sync. It's not a conspiracy, it's that they're of the same exact mindset. The same mindset. And they're incestuous, too. The people who work in the Democrat Party, or the various campaigns, go into media, or they come out of media and they go into the Democrat Party, or they go into the various Democrat administrations. They're not fooling anybody. They're not fooling anybody. And you and I are sick and tired of it. Then they talk about the sanctity of the First Amendment. We don't need lectures from them. We have to explain to them the sanctity of the Second Amendment. And there's a little town I just saw that has taken my advice of several years ago. And we need to do more of this. Sanctuary cities for illegal immigration, right? Somehow, we can't get rid of this sanctuary label, and these cities are allowed to defy federal law. They nullify federal law. Despite the supremacy clause, they nullify federal law. Okay, and I said we ought to have sanctuary cities for the Second Amendment. We can do the same thing. Make them take us to court. Make them fight us. Make them fight us on our territory. Talking about legally and politically. There needs to be more thinking like this. You're not going to get it from Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. These guys are long in the tooth. They're suckers. They're suckers. I want you to understand that under Mitch McConnell's stewardship in the United States Senate, as the majority leader, we had the biggest spending bill in American history. They've done nothing to chip away at the debt. Nothing. Now, what are they going to do about Obamacare? I told you during this period where the Republicans are still in charge, the lame duck period, they should be loading up these bills with our agenda items, the promises that they made to us, but they won't. They won't. Instead, we hear about criminal justice reform, or we hear about, I don't know. But we don't hear about our agenda. As I said last night, the President of the United States should be prepared, and I think he is, to shut down the government if he doesn't get the money he wants for the border. And he ought to make a speech to the American people and lay it out. And make a speech to the American people and show them what the Democrats stand for. And give the evidence. You know, the way Reagan and others used to show what the communists are here on the globe and so on. Show the statistics about the criminals and the MS-13 types that are among these people. Because I think there's more of us still than are of them on the left, but who knows. But we have to start using their tactics. We have to take off the mittens, again, politically and legally, and put on the same brass knuckles that they use on us. I'm quite serious about this. I've been thinking about this a while now. And Mr. Mueller finally has pushed me into this position. It's just enough already. It's enough already. It's not funny. It's dangerous. It's our country. We need to stand up. We need to speak out. And I think the conservative movement needs to have some real life breathed into it at this point. And no, I'm not one of these that thinks we shouldn't use the word conservative. I think it's a beautiful word. Just saying. I understand the other views. I really do. But I really do think it's a beautiful word that has enormous meaning, and we shouldn't surrender it. Let us go to Mike, Jersey City, New Jersey, the great WABC.
Mark, how you doing?
I'm okay.
It is my pleasure to speak to you. I've been listening to you for years.
Thank you.
I love you, man.
Okay, thank you.
Without you, we're nothing.
Well, I don't know about that, but you're very kind.
Yeah.
What's up with you, Big Mike? What's cooking, buddy?
Listen, I'm over here in New Jersey, and I was thinking, how many Republican congressmen do we have?
Now or after or in January?
And senators.
Well, we have 51. We'll have 53 senators. And in the House, I don't know, we had a majority of about 18 or 20, and now they'll have a majority of about 18 or 20, something like that.
Okay. Why don't all these guys get together and make an emergency conference so everybody could see, all the media, and put their foot down and tell them we are not going to stand for what's going on?
Because you have individuals within the Republican caucus who are so petty, who claim to be putting country first, but they're putting their own media and their own political futures first. And I would count Sass and Flake and some of the others among them. They just are huge disappointments. And rather than continue these petty fights they have with the President of the United States, rather than be real statesmen, they can't do it. And so, in essence, they give aid and comfort to the Democrats.
You know,
but Mitch McConnell, I agree with you here. He should be saying, okay, this is our bill. We're going to ram this through. I'm going to get together with Paul Ryan and let the chips fall where they may. They don't even do that because Mitch McConnell is a bureaucrat. That's all he is. You know, Mitch McConnell was never a big Reagan supporter. He supported Gerald Ford. He worked in the Ford administration. He is your quintessential rhino. And yet he controls the Senate Republican caucus because he raises an enormous amount of money. He controls the committee assignments. He leaks to the media. They love him over there at the New York Times and the Washington Post and Politico. He plays the Washington game. He's been around forever. They love him over at the Weekly Standard because he got some judges through, which, of course, should have gotten through anyway, thanks to Harry Reid. So they give him points where he doesn't even deserve points. Those are layups. Meanwhile, whatever happened to conservatives and their concern about massive debt? Apparently, we don't care about massive debt. And apparently, we now support family leave. And apparently we now support massive spending on, what do they call it, Mr. Producer, $1.5 trillion on infrastructure. Spending. Meanwhile, our Constitution's being crapped all over. And that's where I think we need to draw the line now. Carl, Norwood, New York, the great W. Where are you listening, Carl?
I'm listening on the phone here in Norwood, New York, Mark.
I know, but when you called... WQTK country. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Correct. 92.7 locally. God bless them.
Amen to that.
Mark, this is our second go-around. I'm your former neighbor from Temple Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
I bless all who put me on the air at present, your screener, and all your pets. But in any case, brief question, take answer off air, please.
Yes.
If it were 1775 today, could anyone from today's 2018, quote, America, unquote, even imagine, let alone help create, discuss, refine, and perfect our Constitution and Bill of Rights?
It's a great call. It's a great point. I don't think so. I mean, there are things we'd like to do to it now in order to try and recapture some of the things that the courts and others have changed in our Constitution, in my view, unconstitutionally. But here's the problem. And the founders, the revolutionaries, the framers of the Constitution, the ratifiers in the various states, here's what they understood. If people don't want to be free, they're not going to be free. If people don't want a representative republic, they're not going to have a representative republic. If people want to be led around the nose... by demagogues, they're going to be led around by the nose by demagogues. You can set up a governmental system that protects the civil society and the liberty of the individual. But it's up to the civil society, the people in the civil society, to protect it. And we're not. I'll be right back. Oh, folks, I'm so tired of listening to these fools on TV who supposedly know the law. And they always manage to support Mueller. Have you noted that? Always managed to support Mueller. I think what they've done to this guy Manafort is absolutely unbelievable. Still in solitary confinement, trying to break him. They need to get Trump. Everybody knows this fool Andrew Weissman is an unethical little bastard. That's right. He's been admonished by courts in the past. So why would Mueller hire him? Because he's unethical. That's why. That's why. And so you have these commentators on TV trying to figure out other ways to imprison Manafort if the president were to pardon him. Now think about that. Think about that. They've also said that his appointment is constitutional. Think about that. They also say if the president uses his pardon power, that's impeachable. So everything's turned upside down. Because we are so unmoored from our constitutional system, it's just shocking. Absolutely shocking. Tom, Atlanta, Georgia, the great WYAY. Go.
Hey, Mark. Well, they just want to put him in the American gulag. That's what they're doing. They're trying to fill up the gulag.
Hold on now. Put who in the American gulag?
Manafort and Corsi and maybe you and maybe me, because you know what? I'm not playing their game anymore. I feel very little obligation to go along with policy which violates my God-given rights, sir. Mm-hmm. And I don't play their game anymore. They want total control of our lives. They're control freaks. Yes, they're progressives. Yes, they're this. Yes, they're that. but Lenin and Marx must surely be smiling to find their creed now so beguiling.
I know. It's all about power, power, power. All right, my friend. Thank you for your call. Kevin, Grants, New Mexico, Sirius Satellite. Go ahead, please.
I finally made it. I've been calling you for years. I thought I was calling the 3811 number, and maybe I wasn't getting through.
That's the liberal line.
Mark, before I get to my point, because you're on fire, I'm so with you, but I just have to thank you. You know, we're all out here, we're kind of like, I don't want to get hyperbolic here, grandiose, but you know, we have the feelings out here, right? And we have some of the knowledge, but you know, we're like the mud or the clay, and you're the kiln that dries and, you know, toughens us up so we can build that foundation to go out here and fight for liberty and fight for the Constitution. Because Mark, a couple weeks ago when you were, everybody was screaming constitutional crisis over the guy who's replacing Sessions. I can't think of Fitzpatrick or whatever.
Whitaker.
And Whitaker, that's it. And everybody's saying constitutional. The constitutional crisis is that nobody knows the Constitution anymore. And the people that do halfway know it are perverting it and using it for political and personal gain. I hate anybody. I don't care if you call yourself a Republican or a Democrat. If you're out there screwing with the Constitution, doing things that are antithetical to the Constitution, I don't have any use for you. You're my enemy. And that's what we have to be, Mark. The GOP, all of us, we get bullied, don't we? We get bullied in social media. We get bullied on the press. We get told what we thought. We get told. Well,
you even hear people on TV and some on radio. None of my friends, thankfully, but some on radio, who always give. They'll say things like, "Yeah, you know, Trump should have done this, and Trump should have done that, but then there's this, but then there's that." What is the point of that? The seriousness of what we're confronting right now cannot be overstated. It cannot be overstated. What's happening to the Constitution, what's happening in this so-called criminal investigation, is so over the top that you really need to prioritize what you're going to focus on. Right?
Yes, sir. You know, you're exact. We have to fight back. You know, we're so scared, right? We're like, well, we don't want to go after them because they might come after us. Screw them. You know, on our side, I want all the guys that are.
Let me ask you this: Flake, Sass, Corker, do they have anybody like that on their side?
Do what? Sorry, I was talking over.
Flake, Sass, Corker, just to name three. Do they have anybody like that on the Democrat side in the Senate?
No, they're all, you know, not to talk. But
no, they're like the crows on the wire. They all move in the same direction, or whatever. What do they call it? Well, whatever it is.
We don't fight. Whenever, you know, it was just like whenever Trump said, "Well, we're not going to go after Hillary because we don't go after our political opponents." I don't give a damn if she's my political opponent. She broke the law. We had that peacock of Trey Gowdy sat there in front with James Comey and laid out the case for why she should be in prison. And then we're all like, well, you know, she lost the election. I don't give a damn. She broke the law. Until these people go to jail, where is the justice for you and me?
There isn't. And when you see that Hillary broke the law repeatedly, she violated the Espionage Act, and she gets a pass, and then you see that the FBI at the highest levels actually infiltrated the Trump campaign. You actually had the FBI infiltrate the Trump campaign. You actually had intelligence agencies monitoring the Trump campaign. And Barack Obama goes down to Rice University, the James A. Baker Forum, goes on about identity politics. How is it that Barack Obama escaped investigation? How is it that administration escaped a special counsel? Because it's a different country now, thanks to what this government has done. Thank you for your call, sir. I share your frustration. That's why I opened the show the way I did. I meant every word of it. Scott, Springfield, Illinois, on the Mark Levin app. Go.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to bring up a point. When it comes time for the House to impeach Trump, and I think it's inevitable, do you think that
Well, I wouldn't say that. If you say it's inevitable, you will encourage the miscreants. But if it happens, yes.
if it does happen, do you think that that would be enough leverage for Republicans to have, say, another uprising like they did in 2011?
I think you could. But we have a problem now in the Republican Party. The establishment would rather lose elections and still control the Republican Party. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
The Karl Rove types, the Bushy types, the McConnell types, all these people, they would rather lose elections but still control the Republican Party. For how long were they in the minority until Ronald Reagan came along? And keep something in mind. They strongly opposed Ronald Reagan. The Bush family strongly opposed Ronald Reagan. They mocked him when George H.W. ran against him. The Bush family strongly opposed Trump. Rove and all the rest of them strongly opposed these conservatives. And yet they always tell us that conservatives can't win. The two greatest landslides in modern history were both of Reagan's elections. And then Trump wins. Remember, he couldn't win and Reagan couldn't win, but they did win. That's why I say don't abandon conservatism and conservative principles. The fact of the matter is, it is a winning formula, but it has to be explained. The House of Representatives was lost because the House of Representatives didn't do anything. And they didn't run on anything. I'll be right back. Greg in Baltimore, Maryland, the great WCBM. Go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Levin.
Yes, sir.
I have a simple question.
Mm-hmm.
How is it possible that written interrogatories submitted by Donald Trump within just a matter of days has been leaked to every press outlet, NBC, ABC, CBS, CBN, you just name them. They've all got them.
Because Mr. Mueller's team leaks. And we know they leak. We know Mr. Weisturd, that'll be his name from now on. We know Mr. Andy Weisturd sat down with the Associated Press some time ago and went over his case against Manafort and so forth. He was never admonished. Everybody thought that was wonderful. So they're working hand in glove with the media. We know that for sure because we know about the AP case. So they leak.
Should they not be investigated for leaking that?
Well, who would you like to investigate them?
That is a criminal.
Well, who do you want to investigate them?
Robert Mueller's entire team.
Who do you want to investigate them?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Them? I would say...
Don't you see the fix is in?
Well, I think they should name an attorney general from a state that is completely...
All right. They're not going to name anybody. The Department of Justice has become weak. The Department of Justice doesn't need to investigate anyone. What they should do is call these guys in and admonish them and let them have it.
I think they should be charged criminally for violating the law.
Okay, but they're not going to be. Just look at the system. Who is going to charge them criminally?
Well, since we don't have a real attorney general at this point because they keep fighting the other guy, maybe they should find an attorney general nobody's ever heard of and put him in charge.
All right, sir. I share your frustration. I appreciate your call. It's just not going to happen. Let's go to Joanne, Wilmington, Ohio, on the Mark Levin app. How are you?
I'm good, Mark. I just want to call in about Melania Trump and the harassment that she's getting from the media, from politicians.
Just Melania? What about Ivanka? She's getting it too.
Well, she is an immigrant who is not here killing our children. She's not here selling dope to our children. She
Right.
came in here illegally. She has raised herself to the highest level. She is the First Lady of the United States.
Why? And I know your point. And tell me, why isn't she celebrated? She's a beautiful woman. She's a smart woman. She's a self-made woman. She's an immigrant. Why is she not celebrated, but Michelle Obama is? Tell me why.
I agree 100%, and I think it's ridiculous.
What the hell did Michelle Obama ever do? I'm being honest. Yet they praise her left and right, can't do anything wrong. Melania Trump is a self-made woman. She's a very, very smart woman. She knows like 5 languages. And they treat her exactly as you say.
Yes, and Michelle Obama, the only thing she's ever done and never did it well, and that was go on a diet.
All right, dump. All right, you can't just say stupid things on the air. Good Lord. And what about Ivanka Trump? We're going to look into her emails. Look into her emails. They didn't want to see anything when it came to Hillary Clinton's emails. Hillary Clinton puts a server in her, bathroom or basement? For the purpose of getting around federal law. The Secretary of State, receiving classified information, knew exactly what she was doing and why she was doing it, because she wanted to run for president. She didn't want the Federal Records Keeping Act to apply. She didn't want FOIA to be used. Ivanka Trump, she comes in, she's using her private email, still on the government server, which indicates to everybody she's not trying to destroy anything, maybe a couple hundred emails. They've never been deleted, destroyed. And I have to watch this jackass on cable purposely lying about how it's so similar to what Hillary Clinton did. It has nothing to do with what Hillary Clinton did. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the little group of which I am chairman, Landmark Legal Foundation, which is a great legal organization, if you're thinking about donating, by the way, Landmark Legal Foundation, we litigated against the EPA when Carol Browner was the administrator. She was using private email for government business, as were almost all the senior people there. The media could give a damn. The media could give a damn. Same thing under Obama. I forget her name at the administrator there. I believe she was hired by Apple or something. But anyway, same with her. The Democrats are always using their private email. But nobody's excusing anything. Ivanka's come forward. She said, this is what it is. I haven't deleted anything, but we're going to investigate this. It's just more effort to undermine this family, to try and ruin this family. It's a successful family. Let me put it to you this way. If Donald Trump were a Democrat, I told you this before, they'd be calling this the new Camelot. The new Camelot. They'd be comparing Melania to Jackie O. They'd be looking at his kids, good-looking kids, hard-working kids, smart kids. They'd be holding them up. They wouldn't be tearing them down. I want to wake up the Republicans on Capitol Hill one more time. Even though you'll be in the minority, when you are in the minority, you insist on investigating post-presidential wealth creation. Because I'm very curious about this myself. How the hell did the Clintons wind up with $250 million? How the hell did the Obamas wind up with $100 million, despite all this communist claptrap? How the hell did Al Gore wind up with $150 million? Donald Trump came into office worth billions of dollars. That you're not allowed to do. Oh, the Emoluments Clause. Oh, they found something in the Constitution. Of course, they don't even understand it. Grace, in Whiting, New Jersey. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
So I'm 16 years old. I've been
Hold on. You're how old? 16?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
I've been listening to you all my life, and I've been homeschooled all my life, but right now I'm actually at my local community college. And I just want to let you know, in my English class today, we were talking about George Geller, and we actually were watching your interview with him on your TV show on Fox.
Wait a minute, let me get this straight, because this is shocking to me. In a community college, by the way, you must be really smart. You're 16 and you're taking community college courses?
Yeah, yes, sir.
You're pretty sharp. So you're in a community college class on English, and you're watching part of my interview with George Gilder?
Yes, and some of my fellow classmates saw your name on there, and they were like, "Oh, do that interview with Mark Levin," and I was pleasantly surprised. And my professor is just thrilled with you.
Well, you must be one of the few who actually has a professor who's not a left-wing kook.
Actually, two of my professors seem pretty good.
Isn't that great? Well, you know what? That's great, because Gilder is a brilliant man, and he said many brilliant things during that interview, and that's the point of that program.
We're finishing up next Monday, too. We watched the first half.
Let me tell you something. This Sunday night coming, 10 p.m. Eastern, I have Heather McDonald. You're definitely going to want to watch this show, too. She's unbelievable.
Okay. I definitely will then.
All right. Thank you for your call. Oh, Grace, do you have a little brother, little sister?
I have, like, younger cousins.
Okay, don't hang up. I want to give you a copy of my pop's book, Our Police. Don't hang up. And I should have been giving this out all along, shouldn't I, Mr. Producer? Catherine, Billings, Montana, on the Mark Levin app. Go right ahead, please.
Hi, Mark. I just wanted to chew on your ear for a minute. Like the gal that you just spoke to, I just finished my master's in Homeland Security at Tulane. And that was, that was a year ago in 2017. But I had a teacher, and this was when the FISA warrants were, we were all like, couldn't believe this was happening with these FISA warrants. And I told him that I believed that the left was going to be a national security issue. I am now living in Montana. I came up here from New Orleans. I'm in Montana, and I have seen a huge amount of Marxist feminists. Marxism, communism is rapid. It goes straight through the Paradise Valley, up Bozeman, into Missoula, straight to the West Coast.
That's really shocking, coming from Montana.
And you just can't even believe how many people from Oregon are constantly running through this state. They are on Craigslist looking for people to canvass. It is crazy. I have been studying the left, and it started, I kind of started with eco-terrorism. I started with the whole movement from the 70s. My professors did not like that, but I chose to go down that road because I believe that the people from the 70s are bringing it forward into
All
the
right, don't get mad at me. Hard break. I want to thank you for your call. You make some very, very excellent points, ma'am.